either like directing someone or telling someone like, oh, this is where you're supposed to go. This is how you do this. So just kind of following the students was just such a fun experience, and it was different for me. So it really kind of showed me how much I really like documentary and how much I want to kind of focus on that further down my career. But also too, where I need to grow, where I need to, work on certain things, and also understand too that, documentary is supposed to be what is happening and I can't control it. And I think that aspect of it kind of shocked me at first, kind of threw me off at first, because I was like, okay, let me try to figure out how I can like create the story, create everything that flows, like create everything so it flows together. But just as the weeks went by, it felt like the story was making itself. And I feel like you structured the classes perfectly to where I could just grab each of the clips and it would just fall right in order. Or a certain thing that one of the students would do just happen, and it would just be like a perfect segue into like another segment of the story. So it was a great experience. I would do it again.
It was kind of a startup of itself, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Great.
No, 100%. Yeah, we oh man, I'm trying to remember when we first. You said April, right?
Yeah, because we started. It was day one, so
Day one
first class. Yeah.
What was kind of like your vision, I guess, when like we first started working on it, started like talking about it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It started out, it was like almost not quite vision yet, because it was like, I was thinking, well, let's build some stories for LinkedIn or do some social media type stuff and do more with video. But when, I heard about your background, that was when I was like, wow, this could be really cool. And like, let's, what do you think about making a film? And the thing I think is interesting, I think we set out to make at least a couple of films, right?
Yeah.
I think it was
we
like,
did, yeah.
you and
I think we were going to split up the classes, I think.
Yeah, I think there was going to be two separate ones, and then just, realizing how the magnitude of it, I think was, definitely bringing it through. And
Absolutely.
so how did you formulate the story? Because you like you said, you were kind of like absorbing it, and what were some of the things that were going through your mind when it was just like, what's the story? Kind of digging through all this noise, like where's the story?
I had your storybook back when we were in that room over there. I remember you wrote everything down on the board. You had everything perfectly. You're like, okay, I want this to happen, but I also want you to like hit this point. And I was like, okay, then. It was so early into it, I was still trying to figure everything out, because I was still trying to figure out some of the information you were telling me, still trying to process everything. But I think once I started editing and actually put it within the program, I was like, okay, we have something here. I can create a story off of just a few of these clips, and I have more than enough footage to work off of. I think probably the food truck. When I got to the food truck, I was like, okay, now I'm kind of understanding the flow of it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like that was like the most fun part for me, just because it felt more so like a vlog, rather than like a regular documentary, because it was just them goofing around. They were joking, they're having fun, going inside the food truck and everything. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be kind of like the heartfelt moment. And I kind of wanted to illustrate that too with like the moment at the end with the montage, and it being kind of like them not knowing each other at first, and just kind of like working together in the class, but not really like talking amongst each other. But then all of them kind of like coming together at the end, working together, and then doing all the projects together too. And when they were doing the pop-ups, they were walking up to each of their stations and everything. It was kind of like they were becoming friends in a way, and I really liked that. And I knew that was a plot point I wanted to hit, or something that I wanted to drive home. And I was like, okay, if I can do this, I can do everything else, because I have more than enough stuff to work off of, more than enough classes, more than enough students to follow. So it kind of just fell into place really after that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any questions for Isaac just about the film, or just about the content of it? Or Jay?
What was your biggest struggle when making the film?
Oh man.
Discovering how much your back can handle.
That was a big part. So I'm definitely more so of a camera person than editor. Once I threw it into the program, I think my computer crashed about probably like every time I used it. It crashed like frequently. And I remember there was a big point too where I ended up cutting up a lot of footage and organizing it and just structuring it in the way I wanted to tell the story. My computer crashed and I lost a good amount. So I had to go back, kind of just retrace my steps. And I think dealing with just that editing program, Premiere Pro, the MacBook, was probably the biggest struggle. So that was hard. That was hard.
That section of the film had an awesome section on resilience, but we,
I got cut.
yeah.
I just want to say, like, from somebody who watched a ton of documentaries, it
Mhm.
was actually unbelievable, man. Like, you should
I
be very
appreciate that.
proud of what you just did. Like, that's impressive at your age. So,
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you.
but yeah, no, I guess my one question is like, what's your next project? Like, where are you?
Oh man, I'm doing I'd love to do another documentary again. I definitely would want to get into doing more of those come 2026. I have senior project coming up, which it has to be like a narrative film. So there's a little story that I wrote that I have coming out. I'm gonna shoot it in March. So that's like my primary focus. But
Do you still have a co-op with?
I don't. No. After I finished my co-op already, so after this I'm done. So next
You graduate when?
and I graduate next year. Spring of next year.
All right, sounds good. Let's connect after this because
But absolutely.
I have a connection that just hit me up saying that he wants to see your work. So
Got you.
we'll see where that goes. But
Got you.
So, congratulations to Disney. Just wonderful, marvelous. I have like so many questions running in my mind, but I want to be mindful of time. So, will this be your new business model? Will this be your new portfolio diversification of what you do? The documentary. I think it's something that you're going to add to
I will
what
definitely
you're selling to customers.
I'll definitely put this at the forefront. I think it being the length that it is and it also being a documentary is definitely going to make it stand out versus my other work. I've done documentaries before, but never to this extent.
Right.
Where I've had this much content and then this long of a film. So this will definitely be the forefront of it, and I definitely want to continue to do something like it as well.
So I'm not sure. So have you thought about, you don't have to answer the amounts, but like how much do you charge? Like, because because I'm right now thinking of a nonprofit that I'm very involved in, that would actually benefit from something like this, right? So to share with, potential donors, clients, but of course, this is a nonprofit. It's not like Drexel's a nonprofit, but it's on the scale of Drexel or Trump, it's a small nonprofit. And so I'm just trying to, I'm wondering if you have thought through price points. It's a big question. I just think it's a powerful market, which is in dire need right now, smaller nonprofits, but then there's the affordability of it. I'm marrying those two.
Yeah.
Not really a question, I guess more of a comment, but
That reminds me of that day.
people agree with me about the nonprofits. They're suffering so much right now. And they need to tell a compelling story.
Absolutely.
More than just the 30-second Instagram thing real. Yeah. Just a thought.
Yeah, we had a day in the green room over here where we literally we mapped out business models for his production company.
Yeah, so you're thinking about this.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I think we came up with 3 or 4 business ideas.
Yeah.
And but I mean, the ability to tell a powerful story, just from promoting a cause or advocacy or any of those things. I mean, there's so much power in that, and I don't.
It's like Westfall's story, Jeff, with the North Philadelphia school. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact Jen Westfall's done several. That was Unschooled, I think, is the one you're referring to, which was just amazing.
That was documentary,
Yeah, and it was really just tracked students through this program. It was very, very much like let's just hands-on do stuff and not so much like try to memorize and regurgitate kind of an approach. And and that was it. Just being able to like create a just an awareness and to be able to see that felt experience.
I just, again, this isn't my areas, but like the nonprofit segment is just a way to focus the market on what they're doing. This is such a compelling
like that you did on that.
Yeah.
I'd argue that like the for-profit segment as well, even though nonprofit is such a great, like this is such a dire need in so many industries.
Yeah.
Like there's
Tell a story.
right? There's not many people who are actually like good at telling stories. And so many companies are looking for that skill. You have that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You really do have that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's pretty cool to see.
Like, what I'll say is someone who's taken that class and taken another one of your classes,
Mhm.
you did a very good job, not only just like showing what was talked about, but like explaining it with visuals. Like, you did a very good job showing how we learned and how we thought and like how we came to our conclusions because of the class.
It makes me proud to be like a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm so serious.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Can you do a documentary on the post?
Right?
What's up next?
Good final thought.
Yeah. 2026, I got you.
All right.
Yeah. Any questions just about the? A lot of you have taken this course or one of these courses. I mean, any just questions or thoughts about? Does it resonate in terms of what what's really needed? And I think maybe the other thing I'd be interested in thoughts on, like, it's like the higher ed's getting disrupted in a lot of ways. Like, what are some thoughts about ways that could be addressed? Yeah, Karen.
I think the biggest advantage that we have here is in learning to adapt and not getting the process of creating the piece and the experience of the students kind of hits when need for adaptability and have outcome is predictable, like they're going to graduate your jobs or whatever. But our soft skills are what's needed in order to allow us to adapt to whatever realistic situation or present goal we have for ourselves to go for the session.
Yeah, on that.
I loved how you included more of the faculty. Like I feel like at the close school in particular, we have such great teachers that are like so different than your average teacher. And so like I love how you incorporated, but maybe like incorporating more of that because there are so many. Like I immediately think of like Scott Keitel, like such a great personality.
Yeah.
Mr. Salas, like all these great people who have such great missions going on. I definitely would look into that. Or I don't know even what to do with that information, but that's what came to my mind.
Yeah, it's a powerhouse team. I mean, I can explain financial valuations of startups fine, but like nobody's going to do it like Rob Mourier. I was like so stoked when he said he would like come in and help with that one. Or like entrepreneurship in new tech. Like we kind of ended up downplaying this in the film, but I mean we jumped into the center of blockchain, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and agentic AI, which everybody's talking about it now. They were not talking about it 5 months ago. And, to bring in somebody like David Deputy, who like, he's one of the world's leading experts in that space. And so he was able to talk about stuff that I didn't even know about. And he made a prediction in week 1. He said, soon AI agents will have a wallet and you'll be able to send them out in the world to conduct transactions on your behalf. 4 weeks later, Stripe and Amex announced a partnership to do exactly that. And so it was like less than 30 days from when he said, this is where the world's going, it arrived. That's how fast these iterations are turning. And so, having somebody like him to be able to come in and speak to some of this stuff. And I mean, Dave it was amazing. He recently left industry to do a startup. He's doing a startup in that space. And he said, I want students to really figure this out. He's like, I'm going to gift each student $10 in cryptocurrency. And he did this at the beginning of the course. And that way people could really experiment with some of these techs. The students set up it was an AI agent, which they sent out in the world to do cryptocurrency purchases and sales on their behalf. And they programmed it with like their parameters and their personality and their buy box and all the different things. But then literally it went out and, somebody reported that $10 they had earned like $1.40, like 3 days, like the next class session, they're like, it's up $1.40 because it went out. It did some buys and sells, but it was also staking currency in a lot of the exchanges. And so, just those are the kinds of things that, it's like someone's really interested in that, they can go figure that out. But it's some of it's changing and emerging so fast that, having someone that really understands the implications of it can really make a difference. Yeah.
What my main takeaway from like Disrupt Ed and higher education as a whole is students are craving actual learning and not just something we can figure out from a textbook, because if we could figure out from a textbook, we're going to.
Yeah.
We'll go look it up. We'll go figure it out ourselves if we're really interested in it. But what we really want as students looking for like learning is something new.
Yeah.
Is instead of saying, hey, a calculator is bad, you're not going to have it with you wherever you go, teaching us how to use the calculator, teaching us how to use AI. Like, that's why I liked your class this term so much, because I've never had more tools to develop a business than I have this term. Like, for example, I was in your class last class, and you showed us the AI songwriter.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I had talked to Copilot and Gemini a bunch to come up with perfect prompts for it to come up with whatever I actually wanted it to.
Yeah.
And so that like actual hands-on learning of stuff we could use in the real world is so necessary now.
Yeah. When's your album release? Is it coming soon?
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. I'd be interested in other things that you think would be helpful in this area. Like, you know, like those are like just some examples. Like, what are some things that make what you're learning more accessible, more useful, more engaging?
Honestly, just anything I can do for free. If you've tried it before and you had a positive experience, I want to know about it, because it saves me the time of going through just blindly searching through AIs, because there's so many bad ones out there.
Yeah.
That it muddies the water. It makes it a little bit harder for someone who doesn't have experience with vibe coding, like be able to get into it and kind of understand what applications are good and what are bad.
You missed it.
I know. Class, and I thought it was going to be later on today, but when I asked you Tuesday when it was, I was like, oh.
Yeah, all right. So tell us, you lived this.
Yeah.
So you were like one of the main personalities in the film. Like, what were some of the things that you just tell us a little bit about your experience and what you gained from it?
I would like every single one of your classes that I've taken I've been able to take something from it and be able to apply it to my own life and what I know I want to do for my business in the future. And really, like, especially, I mean, it's not last year's class, but like this year's class, it's actually giving you the technological tools to progress my business idea, something that I wasn't able to do before. And like all of your classes that I took last year, that was like helping me understand the basis of entrepreneurship, the basis of starting out your business, the most key and important factors and like logistics that go into creating your business. Like that really, your classes really helped me understand all of that. And now I can take that and do things like with this class. Now I can use AI and use other technological tools to help me advance other business ideas I might have, or help me put myself out there a little bit more with like conducting interviews and asking trying to get customer feedback, stuff like that. I guess you could say trying to be more present in the physical now and turning my idea more into tangible products, or I don't know what the word is, but just something that I can actually use to progress the business.
Yeah.
Tangible aspect, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. Thanks. Any other questions before we wrap up? Yeah,
I
Sarah.
was curious, as someone that's not an entrepreneurship student, what did you kind of take away from this?
You know what? The first thing that kind of came to my mind was, y'all leave the classroom more than we do, and we in film, which is insane. And kind of just going exactly off what you were saying. I think there's just a traditional way of doing things, and a lot of professors want to kind of just put us in that box and just kind of keep us doing that because that's just been the way for so long. I think with my major, that's like a horrible thing. That's probably the worst thing you could do, especially with creatives. But for you guys, I feel like that opens you guys up to so many things. And even though you guys might see it as, oh, I need to talk to my professor because we keep doing the same stuff over and over again, I kind of envy you guys because you guys do so much. And you guys have professors who really care who really talk to you guys. No, I'm not saying we have horrible professors. Our professors are all right too. But you got like, if we had someone like John in the basement, oh my God, that would just be a game changer. And it would just be a better, like, just climate of what is going on down there. With people wanting to do stuff after school, having the connections to, you know, talk to somebody and be like, okay, I don't know where I'm going. After school, I need help. I need, you know, someone to kind of just talk to and have that conversation with. So I really wish we had the same thing that you guys have. And, you could, no, definitely. And I think that it really just takes someone to kind of step up and just let it be known. True. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I need to do that. I think that's exactly what I need to do. But you guys have it so good. And I really like just being in your classes too. I was standing up recording for most of the time and I was still having fun. I was still enjoying myself. You guys were like all laid back, fun. It wasn't super serious. I guess my expectations going into it were like, you guys were going to come in with like tuxedos, full on like dress, like, you know, get ups and everything. But it was so laid back. It was so chill. And I think that's what made me enjoy filming it so much and wanting to just come to club every single day. And that just helped a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I'm so glad you were part of this. I mean, it was so much fun working with you through all of it, and just, I mean, some days we're just like, what are we gonna do with this, and how are we gonna do this, and you know, just figuring it out, or like things went sideways, and like problem solving, and some of it was just like, you know, we'd be whiteboarding, and we'd be on like a totally different subject, like, you know, like how. One day, I asked Isaac to kind of walk me through the process of making a film. It was like we filled this massive whiteboard. It was like, I like, it is so complex. There are so many layers. It was so interesting just to see that, and it was a pleasure doing this with you at this project.
It was so, and I'm glad you let me do it, Doc. I can't thank you enough for that, because I feel like that's just a whole nother like version of storytelling that you can't do in like short form content. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, good. Well. So if you haven't taken it yet, I have a course this winter called The Influencer Startup. And it's about creating content and building a money model to go along with it. So if you haven't taken it, super fun. It's more like being part of a community of creators than a class. We usually meet in this room. I usually bring some food. We have some dinner together, and we have a guest speaker. We create content together. And it was a lot of fun. Owen could probably share a little bit about that experience. It was just pretty unique. Like, I wasn't sure, it was an experiment. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. I'm really stoked about it this year. I just spent the morning looking at there's a new podcast studio down in the basement, West Fall. We're going to be able to use that a couple of times. So we're going to do some really interesting and cool things as far as that goes. You're going to have a senior screening for your senior film.
Yes,
so when I mean, we're all waiting for it.
That's going to be, what day is that? I think June 10th.
All right.
And it will be at Mando.
Okay.
Mando.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be right across. So
That's awesome.
but it's going to be, y'all bring food. If you do come, bring food, because it's going to be like an all day thing, because they have so many people showing up. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's going to be fun though. It's really fun.
Yeah. And I got a little blink. I got to hear a little bit of the story. It's going to be epic. You definitely will want to see this one. So awesome. Well, thank you all for coming today. Isaac, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your work. I mean, this is amazing.
Thank you too. Thank you too. It was